Hey guys, and welcome back. Today we'll be working on wiring again, and specifically we're going to work on the engine wiring harness. This was an eBay special harness that came with the vehicle. I think it's one of those $70 jobs. So we're going to get into that and see what we got to do to make it work. Join me. Right off the bat, this is a F-body harness. I think that's how they're selling them. There may be other options, but this is what I got, F-body harness. You can tell the differences by how it's pinned out and some of the connectors and things. So basically what that meant for me was I went through with a truck pinout diagram. I went over to LT1 swap. That's where everybody gets their stuff in these days. And I kind of went through all the pins, all 160 of them, to make sure they were where they needed to be, and they weren't. So the first thing I had that wasn't right was a TPS 5-volt reference that was supposed to be on blue 47. Mine was on blue 8. Next was my map 5-volt reference. It was supposed to be on blue 46. Mine was on blue 47. My transmission low reference, or the ground for the sensor and all that, supposed to be on blue 41. It was on blue 53. Blue 54 and 60. I didn't write down what those were, but those needed to be swapped. They were in each other's holes. Engine coolant temp ground was in 63. I had to move it to 80. I'm sorry, it was in 80. I had to move it to 63. And there was just no PCM ignition wire in the blue 75 cavity. So I had to make one of those. Luckily, I had all these harness pieces here. I can just pull a pin out and add a wire in there. They do come without the spade connectors if you bought it in the kit, it probably has the connectors, but it doesn't have anything in what your fuel pump power feed would be and the power out to the fuel pump. So it does have I guess this is a ground wire, and then this is supposed to be 12 volts coming in from the pump, or from the PCM to trigger the relay. That closes, and then it sends whatever power it has to whatever you hook up to it. Fun fact for me specifically, I don't know if any of you guys out there may run into this problem. You do a swap with a truck harness and you turn your key on and the relay just starts going click, 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 click. There's a reason for that. And a lot of diagrams don't express this, and people tell me that I'm wrong when I say this, but specifically for the computer program that I have the license for in HP Tuners, it's an 01 Tahoe. That's what I'm going to be using. The 01 Tahoe grounds the relay for the fuel pump when it activates. So it doesn't have 12 volts that goes to your relay. It sends out a ground signal, which means you have to have a switch 12 volt on the other side, or however you wire yours, you have to have 12 volts on the other side. Everybody tells me I'm wrong, but if you dig into a 2001 Tahoe, I'm sure there's other variants that are similar. That diagram, I can pull it up somewhere and link it in here if I have time. That has a grounded fuel pump relay trigger wire. It just does. I don't know why that one's special and different, but that's what I'm going to be doing. So I'm going to have to repin this relay. That's what I'm trying to say. Basically, I'm just going to swap that. This ground I'll feed to power, and then this will be my ground coming in. Easy day. I may even have some of those connectors somewhere in that mess that I can plug into here. So I'm going to go lay this in the truck now, and part of repinning all this is I had to take all the wire loom off of it, which is that cheap corrugated stuff. And by the way, this wiring it's definitely $70 worth of wiring, so don't expect this to be able to take a lot of heat or abrasion or anything like that. It is what you paid for. I mean, you're getting all the connectors and stuff, so I guess it's a decent deal. But what I'm trying to say is be careful. I'm going to lay this thing in here so I can route it how I need to route it. I'm going to put some of this loom back on there that was on there. I may have, I do have some of this Harbor Freight. This stuff is great. That was $9 or something like that. This is 1/2 inch. I think they may have other sizes too. It was basically like cheap Tech Flex. I use that in Tessa tape, which is a cloth fiber tape, and it makes it look kind of factory when you do your wiring stuff. I also moved some of the grounds in here. they would go from the PCM all the way over here, and then some things fed from over here, went all the way back to the PCM. So if it was something near the PCM, they already had a ground wire bundle, so I just went and grounded it there. If it was something on the harness side that was going all the way over here to ground, I just grounded it on the cylinder head bolt just to minimize wires passing through that main bundle here. So that, took it down a little bit. For the time being, I'm just going to lay this in there and PCM mount, kind of sit in the mount that I made. Now we're just going to, verify this thing works, get it running, and then we can make it clean. So join me. All right, we're going to lay this thing in here. First thing that's going to lock me down is going to be that crank sensor, and has a, I think it's the positive battery feed that goes over to the harness. Those both drop down in that back by the cylinder head. So it's going to locate everything. So I got these in here, got Tech-Flex on there, wrapped it with some Tessa tape, brought it down to the bottom, figured out my lengths need to be, coated this with the Tessa tape, and then whenever I'm near some heat, I always like to throw, this is probably not the right application for this, but on Jeep, I like to throw some HVAC tape on here because it's metal and hopefully reflect some of that heat away. So we're going to get that on there and keep moving. All right, got the back of the harnesses going down behind the engine there. Got the intake manifold laid in here for now, so I can kind of wire everything in. Looks like a lot, but it's not that much. I'll run these harnesses down here, and well, we'll run these wires down here, and I'm gonna loom them up with some harness stuff, and then we'll do the same on this side. Get the fuel rails set in there. This is all temporary while I get the loom figured out on here. I am going to have to do something about coolant temperature sensor, because factory harness, we'll need to see it at the PCM to make fueling changes and things, but the gauge on this needs to be fed from, I don't know where I put it. Hold on. This is what fed the factory coolant gauge. It's a 1/2 inch NPT, which is, a little bit bigger than what's going to fit in the cylinder head here. I did check the one in the back. That one's not as large as this. Right online, some guys are turning these down with the lathe and doing kind of weird things, but that might be for a later project. What I am going to do for now is I got a, this is like a 98 F body 3-wire coolant temp sensor. I had this in a box of parts, so we're going to get this installed on here. I'm going to wire 2 of the wires to the factory coolant temp sensor, and then I'll wire this other wire to what was the green wire going to the stock gauges. The gauges will read probably about 20 degrees off. I've done these in other GM swaps, but it'll get me close enough that I can figure out what good and bad is, high and low on the gauge, and we'll be close enough. So I'm going to get that in there. Check back. So the F-body harness special here has redundant connectors here. So there's a 3-wire MAF sensor, and then back into the harness it tees off, and it comes out to a 5-wire MAP sensor. The only difference is the IAT is in this one, so it's like the LS7 style. I'm sure there's others, and this is like the big honeycomb looking blow-through deal. This is like a blade style, if I remember right. Anyways, I'm probably not going to use either of these. That's why they're just kind of dangling here. I'm probably going to do speed density and just not worry about that. But your IAT wires come out and go, I had it somewhere in here. Where did that go? Anyways, the IAT wire is going to be, I just stuck it right in the top of the manifold. So there's a connector. There's a connector here for that little 2-pin job. It's just pigtailed over to there. So you could cut and cap these or depin them and not use them. I didn't know what I was going to do with MAF or which one I was going to go to. So they're just going to stay there and just kind of tuck that away under there. I'm waiting to get another oil pressure sender. The one I got is not going to work. So I'm going to get that in. Hopefully it's the right thread size, get the intake manifold on, and then reloom all of this. You guys don't need to see that though. I'm going to continue on working with wiring. I think next I'm going to try to hit up this cruise control and all the other crap that comes out of that bundle of wires that comes with the harness. So anyway, that pretty much wraps up our eBay harness. So if you got any questions, let me know, and we'll see you on the next one. Action on fire. I just wake up and piss excellence, and I want to go fast.
You're not first, you're last.
I was high when I said that. Did real good. Car ran real good.